Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I am a day late, but this is your weekly blog reading. Reminder, this is from Sisters Unbothered on my Substack at substack.com/Coach Nikki Cates. You can go to my link tree in the bio in order to access it. I'm getting ready to start releasing more content through that because I am really hoping to establish a safe place to facilitate community amongst sisters who genuinely are wanting to live unbothered during these chaotic times. Our intention is to bridge cultural thought and biblical truth pertaining to life transformation, okay, which includes self-discovery. It includes, developing your self-confidence, self-love, reconnecting with who God says that you are, alignment, understanding and finding and walking in your purpose, and then having the support to do so. I'll be doing some group coaching through there. So please consider coming on over to Substack. I know it's another app to download, but you'll be glad that you did. It's a beautiful community over there. All right, so here we go. This is called She Who Is, Unlearning the Labels Life Gave Us. Here I sit, gearing up for yet another Zoom interview. I swear I'm getting too old for this. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. But still, going through a job interview while knocking on 40? It feels like I'm too old for this. Sigh. Lost in my thoughts, I barely realize I'm rocking back and forth in my chair, nervously swirling the mouse around the screen. I've been working for over 20 years, so why is this talking to another person so nerve-wracking? What if they don't like me? What if they think I'm too old? What if I don't come off as professional enough? What if I don't seem qualified enough? I mean, I knew that when I applied, so... Suddenly, the face pops up on the screen. A bubbly middle-aged white woman with all the professional polish you'd expect. I smile, brace myself, and she begins. Tell me about yourself. How do you feel reading that? Can you relate? How would you respond? The identity disconnect. In my years of life coaching, mentoring, and facilitating spaces for women seeking transformation, I've seen it time and time again. So many of us don't know how to answer that question. Not really, because we're not in tune with who we are beyond what we do. So we respond with, I'm a mother of 4. I'm married with 3 kids. I'm a college graduate with 10 years of experience. Some of us can name our flaws more easily than our strengths. I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I tend to live with constant anxiety. I'm guarded and trust no one. I'm stupid. I don't think I bring much value. But ask a woman to toot her own horn, to shine a light on her brilliance. That's much harder. Even in a job interview, when we're ready with stats and accomplishments, we still might not know how to speak to who we are. We can prove we're capable, but can we speak to our essence? Who were you before the labels? For most of my life, I didn't know who I was. I was my circumstances. Teen mom, light-skinned girl, timid and afraid, needy. I was my environment. Poverty, mediocrity, complacency, survival. I was what others called me: difficult, scary, moody, irresponsible, incapable, impossible. So naturally, I began identifying myself by what I did. Devoted mother and wife, devout believer and worker, administrative professional or assistant manager or mortgage broker or coordinator or student or entrepreneur. Whatever I was doing was who I was. But what happens when the doing pauses or the roles shift? what happens to our identity then? We're holding on while being pushed aside. In these times, when our collective cultural history and identity are being erased, I wonder, are we not only clinging to our cultural significance, but also fighting for our individual power and identity in a world trying to confine us to the margins? This past election was telling. It made crystal clear how far America has or hasn't come and how it sees black women. Sure, she ran. She got the funding. She inspired people across lines, but in the end, she wasn't enough. And that right there, that's the story of black women in America. The God who sees. And yet, black women are statistically the most religious demographic in the country. We are the intercessors, nurturers, watchwomen, teachers, strength bearers, and truth slingers. So if that's true, why do so many of us struggle to walk in our God-given identity? Clearly, the identity offered by this world is flawed. It's limiting. It's the opposite of empowering. But the one who created us also named us, and his name is above every name. Genesis 16:13. Therefore, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, "You are the God who sees me." Let me give a little context. If you don't know the story of Hagar, she was an Egyptian servant of Sarah and Abraham who was given, she was given to Abraham to bear a child because Sarah doubted God's promise that she would have her own. When Hagar became pregnant, Sarah's jealousy drove her out. Alone in the desert, Hagar encountered God, who saw her and promised hope for her and her son. She returned not in defeat, but with divine alignment. I'll never forget when Tyler Perry said once, "All people want is to feel seen and heard." And being seen isn't just about the eyes. It's about the soul. Being seen means someone recognizes the real you, your core. That's why it bewilders me how we sometimes treat God acting like he doesn't see everything. We temper our prayers like he doesn't already know. Girl, bye. He sees you better than anyone ever will. So like Hagar, we need to pause, sit in the mess, find stillness, and let him see us. This is your becoming season, my sister. Now, while we're in this time of strategic rest for resistance, this is the perfect moment to ask, God, who do you say I am? For me, stepping into that answer started by removing others' expectations and rediscovering my core values, something I practice and teach as a life coach. When you know what truly matters to you, you stop bending to what others want. You live in alignment. And that, sis, is the key. Alignment. Knowing who you are begins with proper alignment with your creator, with yourself, with your purpose. Only then can you answer who you are, not with a resume, but with a revelation, not with job titles, but with your values, not with roles, but with your becoming. Because your lived experiences are not liabilities, they are the razzle dazzle that make your essence undeniable. From individual to collective. I recently read something that said when God renamed people in the Bible, their new name often pointed to a collective calling. Their purpose expanded, not to diminish their identity, but to fulfill it within a community. A strong self makes a strong contribution. And for the Black community, especially now, this is vital. We are not competing, my sister. We are uplifting. So let's practice a new response. So if you've been answering, tell me about yourself with bullet points instead of bold truth, pause. It's time to unlearn the labels life has given you. to silence the noise long enough to hear how God sees you, to detach from performance-based worth and reclaim your name with power. You are more than your roles, more than your trauma, more than your resume. You are seen, you are named, you are becoming. Your call to action, your sacred assignment after hearing this. This week, I ask you to sit in silence for 10 minutes. No music, no distractions. Just ask God, who do you say I am? Write down the false names or labels you've carried, the ones that no longer serve your becoming. Burn them, rip them, or simply release them. And start your becoming list. Write down qualities, values, and truths that reflect who you really are beyond what you do. If you're subscribed to the Substack, then you've already seen this, but I have a workbook that I have tweaked that I had last year for strategic transformations. It's a self-discovery workbook, but I have reworked it for the unbothered resistance. It's called the Unbothered Workbook, and you can have that for free when you join the Substack for free. It is available on the free subscription. Okay? Take that. Use that during your time this week to ask God who you are. Start working through those exercises. It's basically life coaching stuff. Get reconnected. If you've done this before, I encourage you, if you've been struggling, to do it again. And make sure that you work through your core values. If you need help, hit me up. If you come into the Substack, you can hit me up in the Substack and I'll be able to contact and interact with you directly. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.